How's everybody? So we're back talking some more of the boys on the channel at the 7th episode, the last episode before the finale. After Herogasm last week, I don't know if we can really top that. I mean, that was such an insane episode all around. Just all of the chaos that ensued between the actual Herogasm event itself and the battles afterwards. You know, Homelander versus Soldier Boy, Butcher, and Huey. Easily one of the best battles probably of the entire series so far. Just in comparison to episode 6, this episode is a bit more mellow, but it is still a very good episode. Just like in every episode, there certainly was some unexpected twists and turns this week when we focused back on Huey, Butcher, and Soldier Boy searching for another member of Payback to kill. The guy this week has some pretty crazy powers that if you look into his eyes, you're pretty much just stuck in a trance until either you die or he lets you out of it. Either way, not like very ideal situation, so don't look him in the eyes. But unfortunately, Butcher does look him in the eyes and he's stuck in a nightmare trance for a large majority of the episode. You would think that maybe Soldier Boy would have a little bit of concern about this situation, but he doesn't really care. He just leaves Butcher in the woods and is very rude to Huey about it because Huey does want to try and do something, but Soldier Boy is all about rage. He just wants to kill this guy and get his revenge. Even if Butcher is pretty much in a nightmare-like trance the entire episode, I did like what we saw in that, since I do think it adds some great development to Butcher as a character and adds some great emotional depth to him as well, witnessing more of his tragic backstory, since we do know from previous seasons that he doesn't have the best relationship with his dad, but now having us witness this stuff from his perspective with him in the room, seeing this past abuse from him, and also all the sad stuff with his brother killing himself, and before he does, he talks about how all of these people that he loves, he gets them killed. Just all around an extremely poignant, emotional scene. I know we talk about all the time how ridiculously over the top this show is with its blood and guts and its comedy, but every now and then we do get some great serious topics that are addressed in the show as well. After how we left things at the tail end of the last episode with Annie getting on live and telling everybody the truth about Vought, you knew there were going to be some ripple effects in this episode. Surprisingly, we actually get some nice bonding moments between Kimiko and Annie, who never really share all that many scenes together, but I think this is probably their best interaction so far. Certainly after the last episode and everything that went down, I can understand why Kimiko just wants the Compound V powers once again, asking Annie to go get some so she can be powerful. It did seem a bit quick and easy for her to just sneak in and get some and inject Kimiko once again to give her powers. I did, however, like the big reveal in this scene when it comes to the temporary Compound V we've been seeing Butcher and Huey using. There's definitely been signs throughout the episodes that something is going wrong with this temporary Compound V. We've been seeing them throw up and just random leakage coming out of their ears from time to time. Turns out the temporary Compound V is very bad for you. It makes your brain basically melt. Pretty much after a certain amount of usage, you just die. The side effects are pretty terrible. I mean, that's probably some of the worst side effects for any kind of drug I've ever heard of. Anybody who's been shipping Kimiko and Frenchie since the very beginning, I do feel very bad for you this episode because we just saw them not that long ago finally have a kiss, and it seems like that relationship is kind of moved on. As we see in all their interactions in this episode, it seems like she just doesn't want to lose Frenchie as a family member, not as a relationship romantic interest. You know, you kind of got friend-zoned in a sort of kind of way. Sort of a bummer in that sense, but I do think it is totally understandable in the situation that's given to us, because they have had some very fun moments together in the series. While I was perfectly okay with them being together, I feel like that does kind of mess up the team dynamic a little bit. Since we last saw Black Noir as he cut his chip out and ran out of Vought as fast as he can to try and survive being hunted down by Soldier Boy, I wasn't sure where we were going to take the story, but it was definitely unexpected this week when we see him in hiding and he's talking to all of these imaginary 2D animated creatures. It almost felt like it was stuff that was left over from that animated series that they just did, The Boys Presents Diabolical, which is a great show, by the way, even though nobody really talks about it. The animation does give some visual flair to seeing these flashbacks of Black Noir back when he was with Payback, getting a glimpse of how bad Black Noir was treated by Soldier Boy back in the day, and also the fact that it was kind of his fault that everything happened with Soldier Boy, so it kind of makes more sense why he just got out of there as fast as he could when he heard that Soldier Boy was back. While Soldier Boy and Huey's interactions have never been the friendliest, they did actually get me a little bit here, because I, like Huey, was a bit skeptical when Soldier Boy said that this nun and this priest on the side of the road were brainwashed by this guy, and he just shoots the priest in the head, like shockingly. But come to find out, Soldier Boy was actually telling the truth. They both were brainwashed because Huey gets attacked by the nun almost right afterwards. With everything that went down, I am glad that Huey eventually teleports the guy away and convinces him to wake Butcher up, because there's no way they were going to have Butcher just stay in this coma for the rest of the series. I mean, you had to bring him back. I mean, it's not like too happy of a scene whatsoever, because once Butcher comes back, Soldier Boy catches up with him, and he brutally bashes that guy in the face to a bloody pulp. It's about as bad as you expect it to be. It's like a million times worse than the scene that happened in The Falcon and Winter Soldier when John Walker bashed that guy to death with the shield. Plus, just for good measure, he punches Huey in the face as well. Soldier Boy, not really the friendliest character, which we've seen already, but even to these people in his little group, his little friend group, if you want to call it that, he's still an asshole. It does feel a bit odd that I haven't talked about Homelander much at all in this episode, but he really isn't that heavily featured in it, but he is still a completely unhinged character when we do see him on screen when he goes and talks to Maeve, because we do get a Maeve appearance, thankfully. I don't know if we're keeping count at this point to all of the terrible things that Homelander has done over the course of these 3 seasons, but I guess you can add another check mark to that with him telling Maeve that he's going to harvest her eggs for potential future use. Pretty disgusting. I mean, I expect no less from Homelander, but that's pretty dark, even for him. We do also continue to see that facade of Homelander slowly cracking, because we do see more doubts build up here after that confrontation between him and Soldier Boy, whether or not he can actually take on Soldier Boy, because Soldier Boy is an extremely strong character. We've seen that pretty much on display all throughout these last couple episodes, and it makes you wonder if we really are going to see the death of Homelander here. He's getting very paranoid about this potential next matchup. When he sees these people in a rally, he swears as Soldier Boy, and he actually gets scared. It also was amusing afterwards that we continue to see Homelander's love of milk when he milks this random cow, but it's the conversation afterwards with Newman here that has me intrigued going into the finale what necessarily they were talking about when it comes to their alliance. I held off talking about them as much as I can just because I'm not a big fan of the A-Train stuff or the deep stuff. The deep stuff, I mean, it's really just one sentence. It's just like a one goofy gag where he's trying to spice up things with his relationship, and he brings an octopus into the bedroom. Yeah, that's kind of really about it for him here. But A-Train, A-Train actually survived everything in Herogasm. I thought maybe he did die last week just because of the way that he looked when he did pass out. But, an ironic twist, if you will, he has the heart of the guy that he killed, Blue Hawk. And seemingly that cures him of that ailment he had where he couldn't really run without his heart giving out, so I guess he can actually be a full-fledged superhero again. So that's kind of fun, I guess. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the character, but if he's gonna do superhero stuff, that's definitely a plus in my book. We do leave off on some very exciting stuff to talk about leading into the finale, some revelations, if you will, especially what we leave off with the cliffhanger. Now that we know that this temporary Compound V is bad for you, you would think that Butcher and them would tell Huey about this, but he doesn't. He's just like, let's go get more of it, and we're going to finish the mission. But the big thing here is the one thing that we do leave off on was Soldier Boy talking to Homelander on the phone, and the big reveal is Soldier Boy is Homelander's dad. That is not what I was expecting going into this season, that they were going to be related. We did change around their origins a little bit so that could happen from the comic books, but I guess it kind of checks out a little bit, because they are kind of similar in a lot of different ways. That revelation, though, does have me wondering what we're going to see transpire in that finale. Are we going to see them actually fight one another, knowing that they're father and son, or potentially are they going to actually team up, which I think that could be the worst case scenario for everyone involved if Soldier Boy and Homelander team up and they have to try and figure out how to defeat both of them. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun talking about the finale next week with you guys, but make sure you share your thoughts down below. What do you think of this last episode for the finale? If you like the episode, not like the episode, and like I said, share any thoughts or theories you may have going into the finale. What do you think is going to happen between Soldier Boy and Homelander? How are you feeling about this revelation? How are you feeling about everything in this episode? There's a lot of really cool stuff leading up to this finale. That's going to be a lot of fun to talk about with you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you guys always know for checking out the reviews. I really appreciate that. Make sure to like on the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you're always updated my reviews, sections, unboxings, and more. Next time, I'll see you guys later.